You know, Adam, our story today is one that's pretty rough. It is about Judas and where he really sold Jesus out for 30 pieces of silver. How much money do you think that really was?
I think it was around 4 months' wages.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. And we talked yesterday about the woman who poured perfume on Jesus, and it was
a year's worth.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, but it's hard to get your head around this guy Judas selling Jesus out after having been with him for 3 years, and he does it for 30 pieces of silver.
Well, there was always something about money in Judas that never set right. And from the day, it mentions that he was in charge of the money and wasn't very honest with it, you always knew, he had a tide of money that wasn't healthy.
Right, absolutely. And it's also interesting to me that Jesus knew that Judas was going to sell him out. Mm-hmm. At the Last Supper, he makes that real clear. Mm-hmm. Why do you think, I don't think there's an easy explanation, but what happened to Judas?
It makes you question, did he ever truly love Jesus? Did he really ever believe the things he was seeing, or that he really was the Messiah or the Son of God? But, greed is the first thing that comes to mind, but it just seems like there has to be more to it than just greed.
And that whole idea that it says that the devil, Satan, entered his heart at a certain time.
Yeah, and he entered him right before he handed him over. But Judas had decided to betray him, days before that when he went and met with the Pharisees. And so, when you read this and it says, from then on Judas watched for an opportunity right after he was given the silver and agreed to hand him over. Think about his mindset going through the next few days with Jesus. And even in that Last Supper, that his whole mindset has been so unhealthy for days now. That his whole life has been, I'm getting ready to betray him. When can I do this? How am I going to do this?
Yeah. And then we know what happened. And then after Jesus, he sees that, what is going to happen to Jesus. It's sort of like the reality sets in. The back end of the story is that Judas takes his own life. He hangs himself. Mm-hmm. And that is so tragic.
Mm. Yeah, and for it to end in death, when it probably could have ended a lot differently if Judas hadn't taken his life. Jesus had said, I'll see you in Galilee in a few days. We'll talk more about that soon. And, Judas he didn't have that sight that Jesus could forgive even this, and was overcome with the guilt and the remorse.
Which I think,
into senses.
Yeah, it always strikes me, how do people deal with their guilt? And is there a way to redemptively deal with your guilt? Judas obviously didn't. Mm. We all have failure. We all blow it big time. But how do we deal with our guilt? Mm. And I think that's an important thing to think about and talk about.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now it's your turn. With your family, with your friends, click on the PDF. There'll be some more questions, even questions for the little guys. And we want you to have some good discussion, and we'll see you tomorrow.